This video brought to you in part by these fantastic sponsors.
Hey guys, what is up and welcome to the channel. I am the Shotgun Shogun with another Fate Grand Order Duel unboxing. If you haven't seen sets 1 and 2, those will be linked down below. But we're going to get into set 3, and set 3 comes with Medusa, Arjuna, Jalter, who pretty much everybody is going to buy this for, Uriel, and Saber Giles. So pretty hype about this because typically out of every box you will get at least one of every character. Plus, I believe starting with 3, the super secret one was is Angry Manju, Angra Mainyu. I think that they switched out from Saber Lily to Angra in 3 and 4. At least that's what I heard anyways. We've been lucky enough to pull Saber Lily out of actually box 1 and box 2. So usually if you don't get that, you're going to double up. You're going to get an extra copy of one of each of these. Now, if you haven't been anywhere like where these are, typically, like especially for the older sets that are out of print now, I think that 3 might still be available, but like 1 and 2 are really hard to get. You're going to find that it's going to be about $20 per box. Now, if they're open, obviously prices range from various things. Now, the easier ones to get, like set 4 and set 5, which are current, those are usually about $15 to $18, depending on where you're picking them up at. I have seen them at upwards of like 22 to 23 at some anime conventions, but you can usually find them online for about $15 to $18. But with that said, you know, Ryan, I thought I said last time that I was going to keep like a knife or something over here by me, but I didn't. So, reminder to selves that that we need that for unboxings. I'm gonna pick that up because it's going to shake. I'll just use a set of car keys. Next one that we unbox, I will have a knife for. There we go. Car keys, the all-purpose box opener. So, the first set came with a lot more. The first set, I believe, was what, like 10, 8, something along those lines. Actually, I think the first one was 9. But the subsequent sets have been sets of 5. So you get 6 different figures out of it, 6 boxes, and like I said, one is either a repeat or it is one of the special ones. So we're going to bring these boys out, and we got 6 right here. So we're gonna go with these 2 right here. I'll start with this one because I'm feeling lucky on this one. So one of the cool things about these is that you'll get a little piece of plastic in each one of them, and you'll be like, man, I don't know what that is. I don't really get it, but it's so that you can't weigh these in person because each figure actually weighs like a different amount. So if you were to be able to weigh them, you could pretty regularly tell like what each figure is that you're getting. So that's the little plastic thing. And we pulled Arjuna on our first one. So one of the nice things about these is even if you don't want to play the game, these are pretty solid budget figures. The only one that I think I've actually really had any problems with was in the second set. There were a couple that just could have used a little bit more detail, but overall, the figures themselves are nice semi-budget figures. Realistically, if you pick these up for like $15, it's really not too bad of a deal considering how much most figures in general cost. So you get yourself a nice little base. It'll have the class in front of it. Have a couple of different pieces. Depending on the character itself, you'll have a bunch of different pieces. I don't know that we've had too many that have had like an excessive amount of pieces. No, Asterios had quite a few pieces because he had two axes, him, a base, some other things, some stands, and all we've got here is we've got a hand with a bow. So that's not too terrible, but so much tape on everything these days. Didn't really want to use my car keys on that. So this one is not, actually this one's really good. If you want to get up here a little bit, Camera Guy Ryan, and look at the detail on this outfit. This is actually some really nice detail, even on the sides here on his what's the word I'm looking for? Holds the arrows. Quivers. On his two side quivers, the details are actually looking really, really nice on that. For a tiny figure, a lot of times it's really, really hit or miss on the face. And a lot of these, they actually spend quite a bit of detail on the face, I feel, just because the faces are really, really difficult, like I said, on small figures. So the more time you spend on them, the better they look, the better an overall smaller figure looks at the end of the day. Now, some of these have stands that are off to the side, and there have been a couple that I've found where the feet don't necessarily fit right. Now, it's hard to explain what I mean, but like you'll have some where it's like a foot will be up or something along those lines, so you really have to like finagle with some of it. A lot of these figures, a lot of these Duel figures are really, really well put together, and I'm just a big fan of them. They really are I'm trying to figure out what I'm talking about here, but they're definitely a good. I don't know how his hand's supposed to go. Oh, that's weird. Why would they have him hold his bow like this in this one? I would feel like his pose should have been like bow up or something along those lines. So I'm not too keen on the way that he's holding his bow on this.
Super casual.
Yeah, I mean, I get that like his bowstring is like very like energy based for himself and it like goes away, but I don't know. Like I feel like they could have done a little bit better with this, but they probably didn't have too much in the way of options, given that the character is the figure itself is very small. Once you get down to the smallness of these figures, a lot of your options go away without making it like too super fragile. Obviously, if you have a much bigger figure, the details are bigger, so they're not as fragile. But realistically, overall, yeah, because like the way he's like holding this bow is it's like he's almost holding it like this, and it kind of, that's not how you want your handle of your bow, really.
It looks unnatural.
It really does. So this one's probably going to be like when I do my recap on all of these, I'm going to be like, But he's gold, so he's actually good in the game. Unlike when Camera Guy Ryan got all bronze characters and got absolutely stomped when we played this. So, yeah. Alright, so we'll move him over here. That's the first one out of them. Let's see what we get in this next one. And we got a double Arjuna. So, yeah. So we didn't get the surprise one in this one. We got a second Arjuna.
This is our first box without the surprise one,
This is
right?
our first box without the surprise one. So we will move literally on to the next one. We might give this one out as a prize to somebody in a future giveaway. Wink, wink. So, alright, so then obviously the next ones are going to be the rest of them as you do get all of them in a box. So if you actually do intend on like getting these, I would definitely suggest buying them in an unopened box. If you buy them online, specify that you want an unopened box, because otherwise they'll just throw 6 in a box and then send them to you, and you could get doubles, which would be super sad, man. So next one up is going to be Saber Gill. And the other thing too is you get these cool cards. You get a bunch of the attack cards. You get the character, and you get their skills as well. The thing is you don't get a playmat with it, so you either have to like download it or like order one somewhere, or like you get it in person if you buy like a box of them, I think it was. But it seems odd that like if you bought like a whole box, that you wouldn't get a playmat. Like you would think that that's how that would be, because why else would you buy them if you didn't want to try to play it at least. So
The weird part is the playmat is crucial to the playmat.
Yeah,
of the
you
game.
literally have to have the playmat to really play it, and they don't like provide it in a box. Like, I don't actually think that you can even like I don't even think that you can just like go online and like just get one. Like, you would think that the company would like at least offer like, hey, if you want a playmat, like just order one for like $1. We'll send it to you. That would at least be a thing that I would feel like I would make it, you know. But the armor on this guy, so Saber Giles, I was really not happy with his caster version in the other set, the set 2. I believe it was very poorly done. But they definitely made up with it on this one. And one of the things with these is I feel like the armored characters are just so much more detailed. Like, the armor that they, like, for the small scale of the figure itself, they put a lot of detail into the armor in general. It always looks really good. It always looks very well put together. There's a lot of detail. You've got I like the detail in the cape on this, that you've got, like, the actual like setting, like as if it were, you know, billowing a little bit behind him. The face again on this one is actually pretty okay. You've got the furrowed brow, everything like that. So some of these actually have a bit more detail in very like key crucial areas than like some larger scale figures that I've actually unboxed and looked at. So it's really weird to think that like these tiny little figures are more detailed in some cases than the actual like larger scaled figures. This sword, I can already tell. I feel like I'm going to just like literally break this with like any pressure on it whatsoever. I haven't even touched it, but just by looking at it, I feel like it is going to be ridiculously fragile. And one of the things too, I feel like if a character has a sword and they're doing like this stance, you should have like just a little indent in the base to kind of see where you're going, like to see where it's supposed to sit. Like, I feel like that would be the best option. But because like in this case, like it just kind of sits in here. Like it's not like, yeah, it doesn't key into anything. Like, you have to put it almost flat, and even, you know, you have to have it perfect, and even when you do, like a slight breeze is going to come by and it's going to move it. Like, I do wish that it was like keyed in there, but it's actually pretty detailed. It looks really good. I know I don't have this like centered, and it's going to bug me because like I can see from sitting back here that it's like tilted. And that's why it should have like a little key section so that you can just key, you can put it in there and you know exactly where it's supposed to be. So I'll play around with this a little bit later, but it's never going to be where I need it to be. And that's going to bug me. Can you imagine playing with this though, Ryan? Like, you have to move your character around so much that like this is literally, you're going to be like, oh, and here, and here, and then it's going to fall out. And it's going to fall out.
That's garbage.
It is. It looks like there's a spot to key it into his hand, but it definitely doesn't go into his hand. Let me play around with this. I feel like I'm gonna break it though.
Established in the fiddling now.
I think that like this way kind of works. Like, there's like a small divot in his hand to put it in there, but it's not like it's in there solid, and it's not straight, and it doesn't touch the ground really. So if you have it like that, it's not going to sit on the ground. It's just going to be like above it, and I don't really know how, like, why would you hold it an inch off of the ground?
if it makes you feel better, I wouldn't be able to tell if it was touching the ground or not.
That's true. Like, if you're looking at it this way, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to tell. But I can tell from back here because I can see the shadow of it and I put it on there. So that is probably going to bug me. But I will forget about that momentarily.
Come on, set 3 has to step up its game
Set
now.
3 does have to step up its game. So far, set 3, your weapons have been pretty like everything else, but like the bow sucks, and that sword. Not pleased with that sword. So what do we got next? What do we got next? We got Steno. That's right. This is Steno, not Uriel. Uriel was set 2, I believe. So I just want to forget that Steno is a thing. Anybody who plays Fate Grand Order also feels the same. However, this outfit already is just crazy detail. Like the dress that she is rocking is really, really fantastic. Like, I am just already definitely digging this. And one of the things with this too is that, like I said, like they put in some crazy detail on just some of the smallest stuff on these figures. And I like that. I'm pretty sure that she doesn't actually go with this stand that's behind her, that is going to be behind her, because I'm pretty sure that's actually for this this headpiece. I think actually.
She has a key in the back.
Oh no! So this is like a double. This is a twofer. So her little halo thing goes further onto here because you've got this little iris halo goddess thing, and then that keys into this, which then keys in here, so that you get the goddess halo effect behind her that she's rocking on the platform. Now she's a pretty hefty one. She's definitely a little bit of more of a substantial figure. Most people don't like her in game because she spooks them on assassins whenever they're rolling for Jack or Gramps or literally anybody else. But I will say that like the collar section on here, like I don't know how close you can get up on here and see it, Ryan, but like the collar is really good. The detail with like her hair pieces are super good. I like the paint on this. Like the paint on her shawl is really, really well done. There's not a ton of hair gradient, which for those of you watching at home, you know that I'm a big stickler on hair gradient. But when you get to small figures like this, you can't really expect too much in the way of hair gradient or anything like that. So overall, this one actually is probably my favorite out of the 3 that I've opened so far. Mostly because she doesn't have a weapon, so she automatically is above the other 2. So we still have Medusa and Jalter left. So we'll probably pull Jalter last, but we'll see. Man, could you imagine if I got like a weird defect box with
You didn't get
like a
Jalter.
Jalter?
They just put her on it just to make
I
you
would
mad.
I would get triggered, but we actually just got this is the Jalter one, so they just put it on the box like nobody actually got Jalter. Jalter's actually the secret rare. People would wail for Jalter boxes. So one of the things that I dislike already is that her side sword was stuck in her boot. So when you get her out of the thing, her sword is already bent. I don't know if it was intentionally that way or not, but the thing is like trying to get it back to straight is going to be difficult. You can't over stretch it back because then you risk breaking it. So you have to you're going to have to put something on here to literally hold it in this position for an extended period of time so that it just reverts back to being straight. Now, I get that these are small figures. They're not supposed to be super detailed and super amazing, but for them to put that in there like that, like this is a key part of the character itself, and like I said, like you really risk just snapping that sword off. Otherwise, you're just gonna have like a curved sword, and like nobody wants that. So that is literally gonna be like my first gripe out of the gate with this. Her armor though, her armor is really good, and they actually have like a pretty decent gradient on the paint on the rest of her dress. And they kind of failed a little bit at the thigh highs. Like there's the seam between like the plastic on her actual leg and like the thigh highs. Not really. There's no real detail or anything there. It's just kind of like, hey, where legs begin, thigh highs also like begin. Yeah. Like I said, the back of the armor and everything like that is really good. Her hair's actually not too bad. Like the feel of the short hair, like the spikes and everything like that on the back of the hair is pretty good. They added in quite a bit of detail on a lot of stuff. They made her really flat in the booty area though. Like they gotta know that somebody's gonna get this and just immediately be like, oh, that's not nearly enough booty. I've seen the fan art. That's not enough booty. The waist area armor is not bad. The hands could have been a little bit better, but overall the face and the crown thing, or her face piece, are very well detailed. And I mean overall, aside from the sword and the lack of booty, I'm pretty pleased with this. Like fairly pleased, but it's.
You could have just made the sword a key object.
They could have made the sword like a separate keyed object that just went in her side, because like even the end of this just feels very flimsy. Like it is just kind of there, and I don't actually think I had that problem with Jean, mostly because I don't think Jean had a sword on her. I don't know. I can go look later, but. Like, they could have literally just keyed the sword on with the flag, and it would have made it all better. Like, that's just, I don't know, it feels lazy to me that they wouldn't have made that a separate part. Like, anything that you put in your box for your figure that has the potential for bending or breaking, anything like that, just make it separate, dudes. Because, like, this is going to just forever be curved and limp. You know, I need it to stand at attention. So that's just gonna bug me. It's gonna bug me a lot. Because even if you just gently try to overplay it, because it was literally sitting in there bent for so long, that's just how it is. So, alright, let me get these off of here. I feel like if you don't have these on a table and you don't put them together soon, you're just going to lose all of these pieces. They're very small, very fragile. Let's put her on her base. Key her in. Another thing too, some of these characters, like you really have to hammer that key in their back, and they feel very fragile. No, what?
Well,
no, this goes
back here and over. Deep.
It goes in her. Oh. Yeah. This probably goes in. No, because this one's super
Doesn't
tight.
fit.
Yeah.
So the flag probably goes over
the back of her head. Yeah, so it'll be over here. So you'll want to put this, because yeah, this one is like specifically keyed a certain way, and actually this goes off the back of this, so it'll go like that actually.
Interesting.
So you have this side, and then this. I'll put it in here before I put the bottom cap on. No, I feel like I got that wrong way. See, there's not really too much in the way of like details on how these things go together either. But I guess there's not too many moving pieces, so you should probably figure it out yourself. And this, yeah, the flag just sits on this, not even so much in this. Then pull this up a bit so I can put this bottom spike on here. I like the fact that, like, as figures, like, evolved, they decided that instead of just trying to, like, shove a sword or something into something's hand,
The three.
they made it so that it was easier to just, like, take it off of, like, take things off and then put them on. I don't think I have, oh, okay, do. Yeah, so this one's, like, keyed a specific way. Like, those ones are a little weird to me, like, when they have, like, this has to go into this thing this way, like half circles and stuff like that, because that's how this bottom part is. Overall, this Jalter one is kind of a pain in the rear end to put together, because like the flag and everything like that is, and she's kind of sitting at an angle, so you kind of have to like readjust her so that you make her straight, and then the flag kind of is weird, but I guess it goes all the way down to her hand and then comes across. I don't know. These ones with like the flags and extra stuff, like little pain in the butt. I feel like it should have went the other way. Like it should have went like over the back of her, kind of like this, and then keyed in over on this side, but it doesn't. Definitely isn't. So it kind of goes like this. And she is kind of just like over here. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to bring her more center. But then this doesn't set right. Yeah. So I need to bring. So she needs to be here in the center. This needs to be more at an angle.
What if this went on second and this went further on the base?
Like, no, because this is literally the only way it goes in there. Because it's one of those half circle ones.
Got you.
So, I think that this is how it's supposed to go. Because I think that this is supposed to rest in here at an angle. Regardless, this is how she will probably. Again, like, I think that the sword is a huge miss on this one. Maybe it's not like that in everybody else's. Like, maybe you got one that, like, it didn't get stuck in the shoe and just sit there bent forever. But that's a little disappointing. I mean, even for a figure that that you're only paying like $15 to $20 for, like, I feel like if you bought this out of box, like on eBay or something like that, you'd be paying more because it's Jalter. You're probably going to pay like $25 on eBay or something like that. To have that bent sword that just is literally going right back to the way it was is a big hit or a big miss and very, very disappointing. So, who do we have? Who do we even have left? What do we have left? We have Medusa, so this is going to be Medusa. So that pretty much just goes back to, you will, if you buy an unsealed box, you will literally get everybody in the box. Man, I'm hoping that in like the subsequent boxes we get, remind me, I'll be a little disappointed if I don't get the super secret one. I'll have to trade somebody. I believe so. I'll have to trade somebody like the other super secret Lily for that one, since we have that.
You did get lucky on the first set.
On the first two, yeah. So I already like this. This one's got like a big, like, got a lot of hair, and hair gradient too. So, but I think that's just literally all she has. This one is super simple. You win because you're not Steno and you don't have a weapon to make me disappointed. What is with this whole set's like disappointing weapons? Jalter's weapon. A Cheater's weapon. Gil's weapon. It's plastic. So I actually don't... Oh, this goes into her hair. Literally into her hair. That is what this goes into. That's weird. Because she is like... There's no way that that's how this is supposed to be, right? Like, am I looking at this box wrong? She is... There's no way that it's supposed to look like that. Like, this looks really... Is she supposed to be running? Like, I'm super confused by this figure right now. Like, I would feel like her other leg would supposed to be, like, back or something along like that. Because if you look at the box itself, she definitely doesn't look like that. She looks like she just has her foot forward. Right? Like, that's kind of how it looked like to me. Maybe, no, because, like, you can only do so much with... Because, like, I could see it, like, if you literally crank it and she's like this, kind of. Like, with her back foot, like, on the ground. But if she doesn't sit that way, like, at all. Like, she literally is just kind of, like, sitting sideways. Like, she is just kind of, like, in some sort of, like, weird, like, half running pose. I don't know. Maybe I have to, like, look this up and see how this goes, because, like...
Possible defect?
Very possible, yeah. Like, very possible defect, like... Maybe it's another case of she has just been in the wrong position and, like, literally her whole figure just bent. Like, maybe her whole body is supposed to be back a certain way. Like, maybe she's supposed to be... Because I almost feel like if she were standing... It's super hard, because I can do this with my fingers in the way. But, like, if she were standing, like, in this position, like, that would make sense. But you can't put her in that, because she just bends back. So I actually feel like maybe, like, her neck maybe got, like, maybe the way that her figure was just kind of got bent. Because sometimes with those, with, like, a couple of these keys, you can put them in at, like, like, you put them in more at a diagonal than you would, like, just boom, straight in. And you can't with this one. This one is just like a, hey, this just goes straight in here. I mean, I guess if I put it, but then I can't put it in here, like you... Yeah. Like, even if I do it like that, it just perpetually goes back to this weird, like, side thing, where it just literally needs to be back, like...
I feel like her leg's supposed to be straight and it's curved.
Yeah, that too. Like, it feels like they're supposed to be literally like this, but they're like this. So, I don't know if this is, like, product defect, if this is just bad luck of the draw, or what, but I am not happy with Fate Grand Order Duel Set 3. The weapons all look kind of off. Arjuna's bow is just way too big for his hand. Gil's sword isn't keyed into really anything. I just had to kind of shove it into his hand diagonally so that it even sits in there. Jolter's flag kind of is meh. Her sword is completely busted. Like, that was just not really. I was not really happy with this sword in the slightest. Really, Steno is the only one out of this that was actually good, because there wasn't much to her. The faces and the figure itself, like the actual figure itself, isn't bad. It's their accessories are garbage, and I seriously, like, if this is how this Medusa is supposed to look, like, what? That doesn't really make sense at all. It literally just doesn't look good in that position. So, yeah, if you like the characters, cool. I know that people want Jalter out of this 100%. Probably the best one out of it if you want to sit there and, like, put her sword back the way it was. Like, literally, if it wasn't for the sword and this banner being kind of goofy, it still doesn't really fit in here well. I'll have to play around with it a little bit more later to maybe see if I can shore it up. But yeah, outside of that, this set kind of sucks. I give it like a 5 out of 10. Yeah, it's like average. Like, maybe I just got bad ones. We'll see. But yeah, there you go, guys. That was Fate Grand Order Duel Box 3. They're really dropping the ball. The first one was amazing. The second one was okay, except for like 1 or 2 figures, and even then they were still pretty good. This one, maybe I got a bad run, but yeah, not happy. We'll see what 4 and 5 bring. Maybe they just got lazy, and we'll see. But anyways, guys, if you did like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification, drop me a like and a comment, and I will catch you later.